Okay, it's done.
Right.
Okay, today I've been thinking of a couple of things that have happened recently they're different, but they're kind of the same, which is why I have the theme of sharing um, how to create harmony and peace with kids. Um, I mean, even I guess you were one of the first recently when you connected me with Dale, having that thought. I mean, of course, you were one of the first to join me in this thing too. So anyway, but recently there have been a couple of other things that happened. I had a meeting, a lunch with the woman who um, started me working with the peace groups,
Uh-huh.
and and kind of the result of that was the importance of sharing this out as much as possible.
Yeah.
Um, and then something happened that it was like it put something right in front of me. I'm going to tell you what it was. I was in a store and standing in line, and there there were two little, like groups of people in front of me. Um, the first people that I saw, there was a little boy sitting in a cart, and he looked just terribly sad, just really, really sad. And the other people, they had a little boy also, but this little boy wasn't in the cart. He was out and about, and he was like so filled with joy, and they were so smooth with him, even if they said, to put something back, because he was like getting things, and um it was just smooth, and he took it like no problem, just like um kind of like, I'm here to enjoy life. And then um, there was a young teenager. She looked like a young teenager, and she had another little boy, and she was connected to the sad little boy. Now, there was an adult woman with him, and she felt like an aunt. I don't know if she was. I didn't, but she didn't feel like his mom. And the teenager was like kind of really harsh with this other little boy, and said, and you apologize to her, and so he did, and the aunt hugged him, and but it was like, here was right in front of me, like almost side by side, even though one was in front of the other. And it was evidence of the difference between how you treat the children. And these people, none of them knew about the one rule, right? But the the people that were so smooth and comfortable and at ease themselves were that way with their child. And that child was just almost exploding with joy just in being, and just being able to be alive. And anyway, so it was like, yeah, this really does need to be shared because it's a specific um, something people can do. They don't have to be born with it. I sure wasn't. And and they can learn it easily. And anyway, so I was thinking of um, of doing a slideshow. Um, and I'd kind of like if you would, if we can talk about it after I do it. And because I'm thinking of having this, uh, I'm thinking of having this as what I give people, like when they sign up with me. Yeah. Is
Okay.
that
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna screen share and pull that up and then, did you want to say
Okay.
anything about this little story?
Well, what triggered me was that two things that you felt a need to share because you saw something that was working and something that wasn't. And that's something that me and you and other educators are trained to see. Now, what clicked in my head when you were telling this story is one group of people knew how to treat the child, and the other one didn't. What
Right.
concerns me is some people have the knowledge and they know what to do, but when no one's looking, they don't do it. I think people in some way they let their guard down when no one's looking. I've been watching on the news lately that daycare workers are getting fired across the country because when they think no one's looking, they treat the kids bad. I also
Wow.
saw an incident here locally in Texas where these caregivers were treating an adult, an 87-year-old man, bad in a home. But when they think the camera's on and people are looking, they do the right things because I think they have the knowledge. But
Wow.
I, I think there's a moral value there. So if you got people with good ethics and good morals, and maybe religious people or people that are thinking right, they're going to treat the kid right all the time, not just when they're out in public. But some people that don't have a clue, that don't even think about these things that you're trying to bring to us, they don't know any better. They're not, they just want to get through the day. You know, like, would you say they're out shopping, right?
Yeah.
So their goals, here's the difference between people like us and their goals: go get their lunch meat and their milk and bread and eggs, and get home and make the best of it. My family, my granddaughter's 4 years old. What are we going to do, Grandpa? We're going on an adventure. Let's see if we could find some eggs and bread. Where do we go for eggs? HEB, Kroger, Walmart. Let's pick one. Maybe we could stop at McDonald's on the way. Sure, and and you make an adventure out of it, and you have fun, and that's what you do all the time, not just
Right.
on a special event or when people are looking. Have to be consistent. If for some reason I'm upset or something, my granddaughter knows that this isn't my normal grandpa. Grandpa, are you okay? What's wrong? And I think you'll see that out in the world with you're seeing
Mm.
there. That one family, they just don't get along all the time, or the other one does. And you can't try to change it because you're in front of people. The kids will snitch you off. They'll throw you under the bus. Like, why are you acting like that? And teachers know that when they put on the dog and pony show when they're getting observed
Ah,
at all levels. They'll put on their best game face and teach their best lesson to get a good review. Where the observers, if they're experienced, they know that that's not what goes on in here normally. You know, and I
right.
think that's what you're seeing too here. That you triggered a lot of things where you observed two different things. One was going the way you would think was smooth and nice and communicating, and the kid knew how to respond and to the parent and all that. And the other one was just upset and like, I don't want to be here. So, and
Exactly. That just the way you said that, that's exactly how that one little boy looked, the one that was in
they're
the
like,
car,
get in the car, we're going to the store. I don't want to go. Maybe he was watching cartoons or playing with his friends,
right?
and he just didn't want to go there. Or he knows every time we go to the store, I get in trouble. You know, it was
Right.
it's become this one rule thing for my life has become a way of life. I
Hmm.
just don't put on a show when it's time to go to the store. Oh, I'm going to be happy, time to go to the store. No, no, it's going on every day, all day, and I think
Nice.
that, and that's what you're looking for here. And when you see
Yeah.
where it's not working with folks that have no clue, that's just upsetting.
Well, that's one thing about the one rule is so simple. I mean, it's not like easy because it's not the usual way. Um, but once you get it, it's really simple.
It
So
just becomes natural to you.
yeah,
You just do it. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. You said you had a show to
Yeah,
put
I
on?
have a
Okay.
slideshow. It's about
Okay.
15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm messing with my lighting.
Okay. I'll get this screen share going. Let's see. So after, let me know what you think in terms of having this be one of the first things that people get to experience.
Okay.
Okay, let's do this. Okay, welcome to Karen Rice's Raising Happy Kids Zoom show. Intro to creating peace and harmony with the one rule. When I talk about raising happy kids or creating harmony with kids, I bring up the one rule. The one rule equals agreement. Agreement equals harmony. Using the one rule means you find agreement. That's the rule. You find a solution that everyone likes. You found agreement. You found harmony. Knowing and following the one rule is all you really need to create harmony between you and your kids. In any situation where there are differences that might lead to conflict between you and your kids, use the one rule. I learned this strategy from 3-year-old children. I was teaching them a complex conflict resolution strategy, actually intended for adults, and they taught me this. So don't think you're in for a rough time. It's simple, it's easy, it's powerful and effective. It works if you use it. The one rule, start strong. You have decided that you really want harmony with your child. That sounds so good, right? Everyone feeling good and getting along. You have decided that you do not want to make your child do what they do not want to do. And you do not want to do what you do not want to do. And you're going to make this work. You've decided that you want to use the one rule to make this happen. This is going to become your new habit. You remember that when you use the one rule, you're sharing the following messages with your kids. I want us all to be happy. We are each important. Together we can solve our problems. I believe in you. I love you. To create this new habit, you're going to start with yourself and what you want. You decide that you are going to let how you feel about a situation determine whether you agree with it or not. If it feels good, then you can agree with it. If not, you cannot. Think about a situation. Ask yourself, is this situation okay with me just as it is? If yes, your work on that is done. If no, what would have to change, be different, so that I could feel good about it? Maybe several versions of this situation would feel fine with you, maybe only one. This exercise, this practice, helps you make a habit of following the one rule. No matter what age your kids are, this exercise helps ensure a strong start and makes following the one rule so much easier. Here is an understanding that might make following the one rule even easier. Recently, I asked myself a question. What do I want people to feel when they're connecting with my work? I definitely want them to feel good about themselves. Then the following answer appeared, to my surprise and delight. I want people to realize that they are already using the one rule. That understanding surprised me. And as more and more of it was revealed to me, it delighted me. Of course, people are already using the one rule. I'm not teaching them anything they don't know. I'm not teaching them anything strange to them. I'm just helping them expand their use of something they use daily without thinking about it. They use it, you use it. Every time you come to a decision inside of yourself, you're using the one rule. Most likely you had to consider several options or possibilities to reach that decision, even if it just took you a few seconds for you to agree with yourself. That is what I want. That is what I'll do. You also use the one rule whenever you agree with someone else. Together you come to a decision, an agreement. Yes, tomorrow I'll go to the auto parts store before I go grocery shopping. Even with your kids, you're using the one rule. You're coming to agreements. Think about it. Of course you are. You're just not thinking of it as a rule, as something required. So at times you are not coming to agreement. I'm here to help you think of coming to agreement as required, as a rule, as the one rule. You just expand the situations where you come to agreement until coming to agreement is just what you do and your kids do. It is the rule you and your kids follow. When you use the one rule, you are creating harmony. Your kids are creating harmony. You're becoming used to creating harmony, familiar with how good it feels to everyone involved. One point to be clear on is that even if a situation seems complicated and it seems that it is impossible to find a solution that everyone involved can feel good about, it is still possible. An important thing to remember is that there is a way for things to work so that everyone involved gets to feel good. Keep that in mind. This has been my experience whenever I have made this effort. A clear, helpful way to introduce using the one rule to your kids actually originates from the first time the children introduced me to what is now the one rule. You can do what I did. So they could understand what we were doing. I told the two little girls 3 things. You are each important. Point to each person involved. You are important and you are important. And if it's your problem too, I am important. You or we each deserve to feel good. We can use the one rule to find a solution that feels good to each of you or us. Then tell them what the one rule is. When you actually start working with your kids using the one rule, helping them follow their interests is one of the easiest ways for you to start. That makes sense, right? It is also one of the most beneficial things you can do for your kids. Why is it good for your kids to do what interests them? One primary reason is that their interest is a key to helping them become the best versions of themselves that they can become. When we do what interests us, we are very engaged and focused. Think about doing something that interests you. When we are engaged and focused, what we do and produce tends to be of much better quality than if we were not interested. Interest helps result in excellence. An even more important result of being engaged and focused is that our whole being is involved in what interests us. That is why we are engaged and focused. We are experiencing harmony, inner harmony. That is a good reason to allow and encourage our kids to do what they're interested in doing. I have observed children doing what really interests them, and they become peaceful, harmonious people, even if they were not before. It doesn't mean that everything that interests our kids is going to always interest them. They may be interested for their lifetime, or even 10 years, or only 10 days, or 10 minutes. The point is that they are following their interests, not the specific thing or experience that interests them or the length of time it interests them. So if they ask for your help, please help your kids follow their interests. If for any reason you really do not want to do what they're asking you to do, that is a perfect time to use the one rule. Another reason for helping your kids follow their interests is one that is taking care of you too. When they are eager to do something instead of resisting doing it, you do not have to encourage them to do it or insist that they do it, let alone force them to do it. Think of how much of your time and energy could be available for you to use as you wish. Helping them follow their interests is actually the one rule in action, taking care of you and your kids. I'm glad you're here. Okay. All right. I'm going to share with you a thought that came to my mind during this for the first time, actually, because I've been through this a lot. But for the first time, I was thinking for some people, it would be fine. But for some other people, like it might be too much at once, that it might be better to break it up into a series of ways of connecting, like either a series of emails with links to little videos and have them be really short. Anyway, it was just a thought that came as I was going through this.
Like isolate certain topics, or like you wouldn't teach a whole curriculum in one day. You want to break it up and then
Yeah,
let it
like
come
that.
then let it come together. Yeah, I was thinking that what you're looking for is like full circle success. You want everyone to be happy,
Yeah.
and with that, and for that kind of outcome, you have to eliminate selfishness. Everybody has to be thinking of others. That's what the one rule needs to be about. It's not just about me, it's about all of us together, working together and getting along. One thing
Right.
I noticed that sometimes you say things and you might have forgotten or not even realized what you said because you've done this for so long, some things just become second nature to you. What you said was that you learned to do this from the 3-year-olds. So you
Yeah.
weren't teaching them, they were teaching you just as much.
Yeah.
So you learned from them.
Yeah.
So I think by that, and you've had so much experience with this kind of stuff, um, it just become routine for you. So you've created good habits, and that way you stay with them, and it's hard for you even to vary to go into the negativity that you see. And when you see other people doing it, that kind of just rings a bell for you, or it's a red flag that something's going wrong in the relationship between these people and the children that they're dealing with. And
Yeah.
when you say that maybe the kid doesn't have interest, well, that's our job as adults. It's not an equal thing, I don't think, teaching with children. We're still the adults, we're in charge, but we have to bend to create interest for them. Like if they have no interest, in maybe going outside to play, we need to create that and make them become interested in some way if that's what needs to be done at that time. It can't win by saying, well, I'm not going out. Well, it's recess. This is what we do now. That's the plan. But you create an interest. Wouldn't you like to play on the monkey bars? Or wouldn't you like to see your friends from the other class? So now they are interested. You created that for them. And
Hmm.
I think you do that naturally. You just forgot about it. You know what I mean? You're like one of these people that have been doing this for a while, and you like just you're in routine, but you're also good at communicating. And then when you communicate properly and successfully, there's an understanding between all people, and that's what the one rule is all about. Everybody understanding each other. So
Right.
I think to be a good communicator, you have to be creative because you need to understand how to get your point across to where everybody's in agreement. And
Right.
your original, your original example you gave, one family was in agreement, and the ones right next door to them weren't. One
Right.
wanted to be there. One wanted to be there and was doing good. The other one had an unhappy child, and that
Yeah.
person was not in the habit, did not have the routine to make that child happy. I think they accepted that that kid's just probably a kid that's not going to be happy. That's no way to go through life.
Right.
That's what you're trying to fix here. That's the whole
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. That's true.
Whole point.
Yeah. That's the whole point.
And
Yeah.
maybe
So that
you
everyone,
can't do it all at once. You
no.
can't just like take a book and say, "Here you go, read it." You
Right.
so there's chapters in books that you break it down. I
Right.
think that's what you're saying. You could break down this one concept in a book and go through each chapter and then have a conclusion and a finale, something at the end to summarize where you are and then review. Then it becomes once you do things for a certain amount of time, like everyone says, then it becomes habit and routine. And then your life gets on purpose. It's not going to happen overnight.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
why we have. That's why we have professional development. That's why we have training. That's why we have teachers. You know, there's a thing called the Bible. Everybody knows about, but if you don't study it and read it, it's not going to help you. It could just be
True.
sitting there on the shelf. But if you don't take the parts of it and make it part of you, small pieces at a time, and then all of a sudden you become educated and then you're aware of things. But just sitting there, you can have all that until you put it in motion, until you actually take action on your knowledge and what you want to do, it's not going to come to fruition.
Right.
Working in my life, and a lot of it, you know, like I always say, Zig Ziglar always reminded me that, bathing is temporary. So you got to do it every day. you know? Well, I think
Uh-huh.
the same thing with motivation. You know, every day you have to try. And then, you know, maybe in the beginning you're faking it, you know, being happy. But after a while, I think you like smiling. They say smiling, you know, is a lot more fun and happier than being sad and depressed. And you saw that in that store with those kids.
Yeah.
That one kid that was depressed, the whole family was depressed. The one kid was happy, everybody was happy.
Yep.
And then what happens is people that aren't educated, that don't learn from you, they'll look over at that negative family and go, "What's their problem?" You know, or the people that have the problem, why are they so happy? I'll tell
Mm.
you why they're happy, because they have good habits, they have routine, they respect each other, they work as a team. You know, they're not selfish. They think of others, not just themselves. Oh, we're working on stuff now, and I'm thirsty. Well, maybe we're all thirsty. Well, I'm going to go get a drink. Well, did you get one for everyone? I remember when I was at school, some kid brought candy to school, and the teacher said, "You bring enough for everybody?" You know, and that, yeah, I never thought of that, you know. Never
Mm.
thought to bring a whole bag, one for everybody. Just, you don't think of those things on your own sometimes, especially when you're a growing mind and you're a youngster and you don't have the experiences that us adults have. You don't think like that. You just think what you want. And maybe that's natural, not to think of others.
Yeah.
For some folks, do you agree?
Well, I think part of it has to do with the practices of the adults that are around you, because I've seen 2-year-olds who noticed someone who wasn't feeling happy, and the 2-year-old would go over and and hug them. I've seen that. And that was like built into that person, that 2-year-old.
Yeah, it
Um,
was a caring attitude.
yeah,
Wanted wanted somebody to feel better.
yeah,
Yeah.
wanted, right.
Um, I probably mentioned this before. You know, my granddaughter and I enjoy this thing. We do a thing called a crab show. I go, we got the, you know, hello, I'm the good crab, the bad crab. So this guy makes bad decisions. Oh, I make good decisions. So she always comes in my room, Grandpa, crab show. So we play off it, you know, and then I'm in the
Huh.
middle, you know, saying, was that a good decision? And we go back and forth. And then
Interesting.
and I'm not telling her how to be, letting her decide on her own. You want to hang out with the good crab or the bad crab? You know, like what kind of person would you like to hang out with? Who would you like to be with? And she loves that. She comes in my room, like, Grandpa
Wow.
Crab Show. So, and then she feels a little bit superior over the bad crab because she feels like she knows better. And how can we help the bad crab make better decisions? And what can we do instead of
Right.
just instead of just punishing that person, you know, and sending him away? What can we do to turn his vision around or turn his focus around and make him be like us, you know, be
Yeah.
happier? Yeah. And a lot of
Did
that can branch off into different things like sharing and, you know, just being informed or, you know, things we talk about all the time.
Yeah. Did
I used to do it with a character, a ventriloquist puppet I had called Mr. Grumpy. And I was like my alter ego. He was the bad guy. And I was the, you know, the good guy. So kind of like good cop, bad cop. That's
right.
how I got started. I got started teaching little kids in that way for a while, and it worked out good for me. And I do it with instruments too. I got the baby trumpet and different things, and these are just tools to communicate. And adults and kids like it both. You know,
Nice.
yeah.
Yeah. I was wondering if you do you remember, were you around for the Guardian stories?
Oh yes, back in the beginning, I do remember those. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. Yes, yeah.
Because in when you were telling one of the Guardian, actually the first Guardian story, there was one little boy who was a bully,
Mm-hmm.
and in anyway, he ended up getting invited to join the Guardians in a different story. Well, near the end of that story, anyway. But and so
That
and
triggered
that made a difference for him.
whenever I think of that stuff, because these are stories that like scenarios that you created that I
Yeah.
enjoy, but I also they trigger things to me like Hollywood makes movies about stuff like this, and about bodyguards and
Right.
bullying and things like that because it's relevant to life. And I recall certain movies where I remember one like teenager hired a bodyguard because he was being bullied, and that was just what made the movie comical or entertaining. But people are looking for that. I mean, kids are looking for that in school for security. They want to feel like they want to be there and that they're safe. And that's a big topic nowadays, is safety in schools, especially out
Wow.
here in Texas where I am. This Uvalde thing. I don't know how much you guys are watching that in Nevada,
We don't
but
have TV.
oh, well, there was a
So
shooting in Uvalde, Texas, where like 19 kids got killed and two teachers, and it was terrible.
wow.
So now the police department's getting fired. Is that the answer? They're saying that they didn't handle it well. Well, that doesn't bring those kids back.
Yeah.
Maybe better training would help the future. I heard a story once about a guy that put the wrong fuel in a jet airplane and the jet crashed and smashed. So they said, well, did you fire the guy? Heck no, it cost me $10 million to train him not to do that again. He didn't do it on purpose. What would be the use of firing him? Now he learned not to do it. If I brought a new guy in, I have to train him not to do it. This guy already knows. So that's the same thing in the
Wow.
class, in your classroom with kids. Once they learn something, then they already know. And yeah, we might have to test them on it. That's why you come up with these scenarios. And as an educator, for us other educators trying to learn from you, what did you think of that story? Or what are your thoughts? That's one of your biggest questions. What are your thoughts? You're always saying that to us. Well, we have thoughts because you triggered things into us to think about. And that could be endless and
Yeah.
endless, because you never know. I had a teacher once that said, "Don't ever be surprised, what anyone will do." And I'm like, at the time, I wasn't ready for that. I was in high school. This guy, I'll never forget him. He was a good teacher, but sometimes maybe his communication, he was trying to trick us into learning instead of spelling it out and
Hmm.
slowing it down. But now that I'm older and I think back, like, ding, there's like a thing called uh I don't know. I used to read about it, like instant awakening. Like, oh, it
Right.
finally hit me. I finally got that joke. You know, I
Yeah.
finally understand what he was saying. I didn't get it then. I
Right.
wasn't ready. Like when the teacher arrives, you got to be ready. The teacher arrives, is the student, ready. I wasn't ready for that guy. He had a lot more knowledge and he needed to build up a little bit more to get me to understand what he was saying. But now I get it. Now that I think back, I know what he was trying to do. He's trying to get us to think, don't ever be surprised what someone will do. What do you mean by that? And
Hmm.
yeah, people just have different ways of going about things. They have a different DPS, but hopefully the outcome's the same, and that everyone's getting along with each other and
Right.
compromising. One thing that concerns me about you're saying that, well, we don't have the interest. Well, as adults, for children, we need to create the interest. And I think we don't need to do it by begging, like, and always offering rewards and giving rewards for mediocre work. I don't believe in that. Or there's a difference between motivation and inspiration. You can motivate kids
Yeah,
to get a good grade, or you can inspire them to want to do it and go to pressure and work on their own. I'd rather have a student that's inspired, and inspired,
for
not
sure.
not not just motivated. You can motivate someone with, here's a piece of candy, go clean your room. But to have someone that wants cleanliness in their life and organization and wants a clean room, that's a whole different story right there. I when I
I
used to
have I have a story about that too.
go ahead, share it.
Oh, all right.
Are you ready for it?
Yeah, actually.
Because
Yeah,
I know when
I
I
wasn't.
used when I used to interview teachers to work at my school, I ran a daycare for 17 years.
Yeah.
I would say, can we go sit in your car and have this interview? They'd be like, what? I wanted to go out there and see if their car was a big, filthy pig pen mess. Because at the time I was thinking that's how they're going to run their classroom. All unorganized, big mess, McDonald's wrappers, dirt all over, the car seat for their kids not hooked up right. If that's the way they're running their own show, I don't want them running my show that way.
Huh.
So if they're going to come in as an organized person that cares about things, takes care of things, that's a good start of how of the type of person I want to be surrounded or want working with me. Not someone who I used to call my brother a secret slob. Like, what does that mean? Well, mom says clean your room, you just throw everything under the bed. You don't really put it away. You just make it look like it's clean. So somebody like that, I don't know. They don't really take a shower. They just change their shirt. They're it's not fair. It's not You're not given the real story of what you were about. Or you are. You're showing us what you're about. But you're trying to lie to us by faking us out, thinking you're something different. Why? Why not just be the real deal? And sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you because I was giving you some time to think of your story. Go ahead. What were you
Oh
going to
no,
say to your?
that's fine. Um, I'm going to screen share
Okay,
and um, let's see. I'm going to have to scroll down to it,
okay.
but it's one of the first stories here.
This is from one of your books,
This
or
is
or
this is well, yeah, uh this story, the one I'm going to share,
okay.
is the one that we just passed. Isn't, it's not, but it's going to be in,
It's
because
in one
I'm
of your
going to put,
trainings,
I
in one of your lessons.
yeah,
Okay,
um I'm I I've had someone ask me if I would put together all my stories because she likes my stories. So
nice. Yes,
that's going to be, I guess, my next book will be the stories.
terrific.
Okay. Now, this one I have modified and added the one rule, but when I wrote it, it was the power of respect is what the focus was. So
Okay,
that's like from the book you have. The story's in there. Okay, getting started. Melinda has learned, no, Melinda has been learning about the one rule, and it really appeals to her. She feels she has learned enough to begin using this with her 9-year-old daughter. Willow, I hope this is a good time for us to talk because I have something I want to do, but before I can do it, I have to discuss it with you. Is now fine with you? Willow looks up from the cereal box she was reading. Her eyes are blank, not understanding. What is her mother talking about? I want to talk. about not punishing you anymore. I know I usually punish you when you do things that I don't like, but I don't want to do that anymore. I want us to be able to solve our problems so we both feel good about the solution. Does that sound good to you? It sounds strange to Willow, but it's better to listen to her mother than not. I guess Melinda is determined not to lose her patience, if it is at all possible. But it's frustrating to have her daughter react to this so half-heartedly. Melinda thought Willow would love the idea. I realize you might not understand how this is going to work. Shall I explain it to you? I guess. Even though Willow is not being the enthusiastic, cooperative child her mother might want, Melinda decides to plunge ahead. Is there anything I make you do that you don't like? I don't know. Willow does not want to get trapped into saying anything that might cause trouble for her. She can sense the tension in her mother, though she's not sure what's causing it. Although Melinda is beginning to feel really frustrated, she is determined not to lose her temper, but to persist in using this new approach. I know this is new for you. It's new for me too, but I really want us to have a good time together and not be mad and unhappy so much of the time. Wouldn't you like that, for us to get along together? Yeah, that's why I want to try this new way of treating each other. If you can't think of something, then I would like to suggest something. First, I'd better tell you I'm starting to feel really frustrated, but I'm not going to yell at you or hurt you. I don't want to do that anymore. Willow decides that she'd better think of something rather than have her mother think of something. If her mother means it, it could be good. Well, I guess I hate to clean my room. Well, I'm so glad you thought of something. Melinda knows it will be a better introduction of this respectful approach if Willow gets a chance to be actively, positively involved. Now, let's see if we can figure out what to do to change this so we are both happy with the arrangements. You hate to clean your room, and I like to see your room clean. What if I help you pick up the things in your room every night after dinner so it will never get very messy? I like my room messy. Here's my chance, Melinda thinks. I can show Willow that I'm really willing to work with her. No more oppression, no harsh, belittling judgments about the quality of her intelligence or her lack of proper values or priorities. Oh, I didn't know that. Could I keep my door closed so you don't have to look at the mess? Willow bravely speaks out as the idea occurs to her. Well, I'm willing to try it, but I still need you to pick up your things in the rest of the house, okay? Yeah, that's okay. I'd like to have another meeting about this next week to see if it's still a good idea for both of us. Does that sound fine to you? Yeah? Do you really mean you aren't going to punish me anymore? That's the way I want to do it. I think punishing is not good for either of us. It makes both of us unhappy. I don't want that anymore. Wow. But what if you forget and get really mad at me? Well, that might happen. I'm not very experienced at working things out yet. What do you think we should do? I don't know. Well, One thing my teacher suggested was that when we feel upset by something our child is doing, we tell the child that we are mad or frustrated or hurt or whatever we're feeling because of whatever they're doing. Then we tell them that we can't talk about it right that minute, but that we need to talk about it after we have cooled off. Then we go away from the child until we feel calm. Then we can come back and talk about it. How does that sound to you? I wish you just wouldn't get mad at me anymore. I wish I wouldn't either, but I don't think that's going to happen right away. I'm too used to getting mad. But my teacher said she used to get mad at her children and now she doesn't anymore. If she can do it, so can I. But I'm not sure how long it will take. So what do you think about the idea of cooling off before we talk? Okay. Willow, I'm sure we can do a good job with this. I'm glad you learned about this, Mom. Oh, that's it. Okay. I'm going to stop the screen share.
Well, what was the main point that you wanted to share that story, Karen? What were you
Because
trying to
you
say?
because
Go
you
ahead.
brought up the idea um, of your brother and the messy room, like he just
Yeah,
throws everything
yeah,
under the bed. It just
and yeah. Well, that kid didn't like cleaning the room, but I think it's true. And then the kid said she liked it messy. I don't believe that, you know.
well,
And I know some people are like that. I worked with a guy who had a messy desk, and he just says, "I know where everything is."
right,
I, to me, that's an excuse. I just don't believe it. Messiness in general is unorganized. There could be bugs or critters, dirt and
true,
filth. I That's why I said I take a person out in their car to do the job interview, just to sit in their car for a minute to see how they live. Like if they're trying to put on a show. If they're Am I going to get a teacher and I say, hey, you need to sterilize and clean your room? Are they really going to do it? Or are they going to shove the stuff under the bed?
mm,
You know, you need a teacher that's going to do the right things. And that child is learning from that parent. We need to talk about outcome, the final thing. And how we get there, that's up to me and you and everybody else that's the adult. Maybe an approach I would have took was, hey, your friend's coming over tomorrow, or Uncle Barney's coming to visit. You think he wants to walk into a messy room? No, probably not. Think he wants to walk into a bathroom where it's all a big mess? No one emptied the trash or cleaned the toilet or unclogged the sink. Nobody wants to walk into a mess like that. No one will want to walk into your messy room. No one wants to go to Kroger or Walmart and walk into stuff falling off the shelves. And they want to walk into a nice store, a nice place, a
true,
pleasant place. Nobody wants to eat off dirty dishes. That's why we wash the dishes and then put them away. There's reasons we do things, and that's our job as adults. Teach that to the children. However, I think what you're teaching us is how we go about it is just as important.
mm, right,
It's that one of my brothers tells me that, like, every once in a while, see, I live in Houston. Every once in a while, we have to drive to El Paso or New Mexico to visit family. It's 11, 12-hour drive. So right
wow,
away, someone will go, oh, I don't want to drive 12 hours. And we say, that's part of the vacation. The journey is part of the trip. We get 12 hours to hang out with each other, stop and get milkshakes, get something to eat. Maybe go a back road and see some sights. You know,
right,
that's part of the journey. So we get there, we don't show up and say, they say, well, how was your drive? Oh, it sucked. We hated it. It was so bad. They're like, oh, we're sorry you had such a bad time getting here. No, we stopped and saw the biggest ball of yarn. We went and ate this cool barbecue place. And you know what? We brought you some. The journey counts, and it's the way you
Yeah.
go about it. Like I think I said one time, you drive into work and a guy cut you off, and you're, man, oh, he cut me off. Now I'm late for work, and he almost hit my car. When you go into work, that's what you're going to say to everyone. I cut me off. In the meantime, that guy driving, well, he don't even know he did anything. But now everybody that you talk to that day is going to be upset and mad. Stay away from Brian. He got cut off on the way in. He's in a bad mood. But if you understand it, maybe I helped that guy get to work on time, and I come and go, oh, I helped somebody already this morning. I helped the guy get to work on time by letting him cut in front of me. It didn't hurt me
Mm.
to do that, but it helped him. So some people are selfish in traffic. That's what I'm trying to say. They don't let you in and all that stuff. I just don't believe in that stuff anymore. But there was a time that I did. Now I let go. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think that's what this one rule stuff is all about. Let
So
go
does
of your
it feel
personal.
better?
Yeah, I think you feel better when you help folks, or when
Yeah.
even if they don't know it.
Right.
There's a lot of people out there that do good deeds and they don't want recognition. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it just becomes part of your character. I believe in character development and character training. I used to travel to a lot of schools, and I'll never forget. I pulled up at this one school, and everybody was like, "It's got to be quiet." So the principal gets up. The whole school met on the floor. They sat on the floor in the cafeteria, all like 800 kids, and it was quiet every morning. I walked in there. The heck's going on here? Oh, there's no talking to the principal. Gets up there and talks. No, it's got to be quiet, or she won't even come out of her office, go up on the stage. So that principal went up there every morning and greeted the whole entire school, teachers and students alike, had a message of the day, was quiet, and then she took questions before they dispersed it to class. She had it down. So she called it character training. My dad, basically a self-educated man, a hard worker, a bricklayer, a construction worker, had a dry erase board in our kitchen my whole life. And every day he would put a different saying or a word or like a
Oh, cool.
vocabulary word. And then at dinner time, that's what we were to discuss. That was the topic at dinner, rather than talking about how their day was bad or about someone who did something wrong or cut them off the road or something that went bad. We talked about not other people. We talked about what was on that board, and usually it was something positive. And then that evolved into our family, dinner and what we talked about. But that was some good foundation training that my dad gave to us as kids. And I don't even think he realized what he was doing 100%. But he got tired of people saying, "Hey, what about that Jimmy Joe guy? What a jerk he is." My dad's like, "This is all negative talk. We shouldn't be talking about people that aren't here to defend themselves. We shouldn't be talking bad things about people. Let's think during the day, every time we walk by that board, what are we going to say tonight at dinner when we discuss this topic that he put on that dry erase board at dinner
Oh,
time?" So we all came prepared, and we should have been prepared to talk about the family discussion for that evening.
wow.
And it was good because that put us all on the same chapter of the book,
Yeah.
where we were that
Interesting.
day, and it worked out. And then after a
Cool.
while, he would ask me, "Brian, why don't you put something up there for tomorrow?" I'm like, "Okay, Dad." Or one day I'd go by and beat my mom's handwriting. I'm like, "Mom, where'd you come up with that?" "Well, father told me to think about something that I was concerned about. Maybe Secret Slob might be up there one day, or you don't know. What's a Secret Slob? Who wrote that up there? I don't know. I wrote it there because my brother always cleans the room. We call him Secret Slob because you look at it, looks good, but it's not really clean. He
Mm.
just. Oh, and then you could talk about honesty. Was that being honest? Like when mom said, "Did you clean your room?" Yeah, it's clean. Go look. But it wasn't really clean. He knew he
Mm,
wasn't telling the truth. He knew he didn't do it to her expectations. My mom used to want to inspect what she expected. So she says, "I'm going to inspect what I expect." You know,
mm.
so we knew that if she said, to make your bed, she's going to come and look and make sure you did it. To follow up. And in the beginning, it might be fearful, but that, oh, she's going to check up on me. But after a while, it became routine or habit, like we were talking about earlier. And just do the right thing the first time and get it over with. Like sometimes my little granddaughter will say, "Here, put your shoes away." She'll spend 3 or 4 minutes trying to find a place to hide them. Like, just go put them in your room, put them away, get them over with. And that was too vague for a 4-year-old. So we got her a shoe basket. And now all of her shoes go in a basket. And we let her have one in her room, and we let her have one next to the piano in the living room. So she doesn't have to go all the way to her room, put shoes away. Like if we come in the house from the front door, she doesn't have to run all the way to her room to put her shoes there. If she wants to run around with bare feet in the house, she could go in the living room and put those shoes in a basket. Then they're closer to the door to get out. And we want to leave. So then she has shoes in both places.
Cool.
And I came up with those concepts because I have tools all around the house. I have a toolbox right here in my room where I'm at now. I have a toolbox in the back porch, one in the garage, one in the trunk of my car. So I don't have to go running all the time. I know if I
Right,
need tools where I'm at, there's one handy,
right.
So it all works out.
Yeah,
You ready to wrap it up, Karen?
yeah, yeah, it's
Okay,
time.
I
Okay.
know. Good
All
seeing
right.
you again.
Good to see you too.
Let's stick together, not be selfish, and be creative and have everybody be happy.
Sounds good.
Hopefully, I'll see you next time.
Okay. All
Thanks
right.
for
Sounds
having
good.
me.
My pleasure.
Okay, good
Thank you.
show. Thank you.
Bye.